Hey everybody, live from the On Target Podcast Studios in beautiful Maitland/Orlando, Florida. It's the Tom Squared Tech Talk Podcast with your hosts Tom Jelnick and Tom Craig. Welcome back. I think we are up to 24 listeners, Tom. How about that action?
Outstanding. Just unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. Welcome to the T-Squared Tech Talk Podcast I'm your host, Tom.
Tom, too, here.
There's two Toms in the room. What could go wrong, Tom?
Not much with the both of us at the helm.
You know that.
Absolutely.
So wait, hang on.
Tell me that's a Mountain Dew.
It's time to get serious.
All right.
It's a Diet Coke. It's a Diet Coke kind of afternoon, Tom.
That's disappointment. That's about as disappointing as hearing that somebody's watching you from the internet.
Somebody's always watching you, Tom.
You know, that Big Brother, I saw a hat the other day that said, make George Orwell fiction again.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would. But unfortunately, he certainly did have a premonition there, didn't he?
He did. And let me tell you, Tom, tough times call for tough measures, hence me cracking that Diet Coke this afternoon. We've got some heavy-duty stuff to talk about. Notice how I said duty.
A little bit of tough love there and steering clear of the duty reference.
And duty.
Yep. But no, it's important we remain dutiful to to ensuring our safety on the internet and all things plugged in.
That was great. That was nice what you did there. Dutiful. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm still laughing. I mean, it really wasn't that funny because I said duty before that, but then you said dutiful. So I had this vision in my head of a big truck full of duty.
You know, it's about the load that you'll get out of some other podcast, but not this one, Tom. This one you're not going to get.
We dare to go there, don't we, Tom?
We do. But we dare to, today's the day for tough love, Tom.
It is. And listen, we're not in the business, Tom and I, of terrifying the bejesus out of people. But today we might do that.
Because we ourselves have been just shocked by what we hear and what we know about what companies are doing out there to monitor what we're doing on the internet.
We might even say shaken to the core, Tom.
I would definitely go that far, knowing that some of this stuff, such as automatic contact recognition. See, I can't even say it. But
it's okay. I see you're terrified. Yeah. I know you're trembling.
I am. But, companies monitoring what content we're taking in so they can know how to advertise various products to us.
Yeah.
That's not really comforting.
Well, I'm going to break that down. And, Tom, do you have a smart TV in your house?
I do. It's smarter than I am.
And a lot of my TVs are smarter than I am, too.
Yeah.
Well, it's not hard to do.
But thankfully, there's ways to turn that off.
There are. So let me tell you a story. It's a sinister story. It was a dark, stormy night.
I can hear the music starting now.
Can you hear it? Can you feel it?
I do.
So I want our listeners, I want you to hear the rustle through the leaves and see the cobwebs on your door. And I'm
hearing thunder.
Do you hear thunder? A little bit of thunder and maybe a little bit of lightning?
Spooky.
Maybe some rains trickling in? It is spooky. Let's think October.
Yes, Halloween, right?
So let me walk you through this story, this scenario. We're hearing it and we're feeling it, and it's a dark evening. You're excited. You come home with the new toy. You know what that new toy is, Tom?
That smart TV that was on sale.
You're darn tootin'. It's a Samsung smart TV. It's a beautiful toy. Your wife finally gave you the green light, and you ran to that damn store and picked that TV up.
And then she gave you the red light and said, will that even fit into the car?
Don't you know that? I can hear that, right?
Yeah.
But when the spouse gives you the green light on stuff like this, Tom, you haul ass down to that store and you buy it before she can even think twice.
Don't hesitate.
Right. So again, let me set the stage. It's a dark and stormy night. You're bringing this shiny new television home. You're scared to death you're going to get the damn thing wet. But you get it home. You get it out of the car. There's this god-awful, ridiculous amount of packaging you're rummaging through. There's those styrofoam corners that are a pain in the ass. You get this thing out. It takes two people, by the way, so you actually have to ask your wife to help. So hopefully she's over the fact that she's let you do this, but she's in there helping you. You're getting the TV out. You're muscling it. You set it up. You want to turn it on. You hook it up to the DVR. You kick back in the lazy boy. Maybe you crack yourself a cold Diet Coke or other beverage. Kick back and start watching that TV. You know what's happening, Tom?
many things could be happening in the background that we're not even seeing.
This TV could very well be listening to you. So as you're talking to your spouse, as you're talking to your dog, as you're talking to your kids or yelling at them or what have you, you may be saying, let's watch Twister, or I really want to buy a Gillette razor, or how are we doing on bourbon, honey? Do we have enough liquor for daddy? Those kinds of things you're thinking about and talking, and maybe you're enunciating them, and guess what's happening, Tom?
Somebody's listening. Always the case.
You know who's listening? Samsung's listening.
Yeah.
That shiny new television that you just meticulously unwrapped and threw up on that shelf, and you're kicking up your feet up. You're having a conversation, and Samsung's listening. So this was a true story, Tom. This actually happened. Samsung actually got slapped on the wrist for this. They were recording, by default setting, conversations that consumers were having. And it gets a little bit more sinister, Tom, if you can even imagine.
How does it get worse than that?
The spookiness here, the spooky level is this. You connected that TV to your internet, right?
Yeah.
Well, Samsung's paying attention to that internet connection, right? They know that your IP address, and that's a geek term, but that's basically your location of where you're accessing the internet.
Yeah.
Let's say it's Maitland, Florida. Well, demographics tell us that, a male in Maitland, Florida that lives in that zip code or that region should make between, whatever it is, 80 to 120,000. They know my income. They know my demographic. They know I'm a male. They could know my birthday because when I set that television up and created an account.
And if you didn't listen to our podcast where we said to change those personal bits of information.
Amen. You just gave them gold. And they were saving this data and probably selling it to marketing companies. And let me tell you, at On Target, that stuff would have been gold to us.
You look for that. Companies pay good money for that data.
Right. But you know what? You know what it feels like, though, as a consumer? As much as I love that kind of data, it's like, guys, really? You're really sucking that kind of information out of me without me knowing it?
Yeah. For you to cheat on me?
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It felt dirty, Tom.
It does. It doesn't feel right, and it certainly isn't. That Samba TV, one of the bigger companies that tracks this viewer information, okay? They're located on, everything from Magnavox to Sharp, Toshiba, Sony, Philips. The list goes on of the different televisions. They have about a 5% market share of all the TVs in the U.S.
Wow.
One company, 5% of the TVs, they're watching what you're doing.
That's terrifying.
So, you have to think, well, they can't be the only person out there doing that. There's got to be competition and other people, cloning what they do. And so you think about what are the actual numbers of how many TVs are watching and listening to us and watching what we're watching.
And listen, consumer data is gold. And, I would tell every one of the consumers listening, all 28, is that what it said? 28 folks listening into this podcast that, yeah, data is gold. It's gold to Facebook. It's gold to Samsung. It's gold to whoever is ultimately going to be marketing to you down the road. But I think when you take a toy or a television like this and stick it in your home, the last thing on your mind is, the last thing you're asking yourself, is this TV spying on me?
Exactly, Tom. And that's why it's important that you treat these TVs as you would an in-law. And that's with one eye open.
One eye open. And do you ever tape the mouths? Or
I'm not allowed. When they come to town, somehow all the duct tape and gaffer's tape in the house disappears.
It's gone.
I think the wife is one step ahead of me yet again, Tom.
And the mute button never seems to work on them either. You're pushing it, or the battery's low. It's talk. It's,
good luck with that.
What are you doing with your life? Mute, not working.
But while you can't turn that off, Tom, what you can turn off is that content recognition within your television.
You're absolutely right, Tom. And that's my advice to you consumers today. Now, it's easy for me to say, Samsung has since corrected this issue. But it was turned on by default. So I'm encouraging you, and nobody loves for me to say this, Tom, when you turn these toys on, when you buy a new smartphone, when you buy a new, God forbid, PC, you have to read those terms and conditions on those things. I'm talking apps. I'm talking your television. It's geek speak, and I'll tell you what, the lawyers make these things 62 pages long on purpose. They don't want you to frickin' read it, but I guarantee that in those terms of agreement, there's, hey, by the way, we might listen in unless you turn this off.
Yep. And, you think if you're going to spend that much money on a device that they're not going to track you, short of Apple, because we want to keep track of our kids. But really, all the work devices and everything else out there, everything that actually does things for us and is valuable to us in the workplace, we want to make sure that we're turning those off, and at home as well. We don't want people knowing, freely what we do. If that's information we choose to give up, that's fine. But they don't need to know that I binge watch my Netflix television shows on Friday nights from 8 p.m. to God knows what time in the morning, Tom.
Yeah, you are. I would put you at a 2:30 a.m. kind of guy.
Yeah, well, it's only when there's something good out there. Bring out something like Breaking Bad, and I've just got to see all of those seasons all in one night.
Love that show.
Yep.
You know what I've been watching? Sopranos is on Amazon Prime. I've been watching Sopranos again, and I just can't get enough of that.
I saw when I logged into my Samba TV portal that you were really interested in that.
Right. You found me out.
It gave full details on that. But
that and Disney Fairy Princess. You may see that within my Netflix account.
Is that a popular one in the house?
It is. It's fun for the whole family and the in-laws.
Yeah.
So, but listen, certainly the television is one device that could be spying. I want to preface this though, I understand that it feels uncomfortable and ugly, and it kind of feels like it's violating us, right? But I have to tell you guys, everybody listening, anytime you're on your phone, anytime you're on Facebook, and let's go there, Tom, if you're using Facebook Messenger, guess what? You are being listened to.
Absolutely. Yep.
And my argument is this, what do you expect when you go use something free? And you use something like Facebook, you use something like Twitter, you use something like LinkedIn where it doesn't actually cost to be on there. I think you have to take a step back as a consumer and say, oh, wait a minute. No, I know Mark Zuckerberg's making money now with ads and everything else, but you're giving them all kinds of data and information thinking that everything is safe and hunky-dory all day long. Is that the new normal? And that's the kind of the question I'm posing to you, Tom. How do you feel about that?
Well, I got to say, I think I just coined a new phrase that I'll use here. I'll try it with
duty?
you, Tom. It's dutiful. It's a very dutiful phrase. But no, there is no such thing as a free lunch.
Amen.
I just came up with that. I hope that it's kind of catchy.
That is so wisdomful. I feel like I've heard it somewhere before, but I trust you that is that you just coined that sitting here in the On Target podcast.
If I was you,
studios.
I would trust but verify.
Heard that too.
But no. It's exactly that, Tom, that you want to make sure that, if you're going to spend this much for a device, that you have the ability to turn it off. And knowing that you can do that is half the battle. But how do I feel about that? It's not really comforting, I tell you, in knowing that these companies are spying on us. So I myself try to take every step of precaution to lock down that data. As we've talked about before, your profile, the data about you, can be correlated together to create a profile that can be used for a number of bad things. You should check out one of our earlier podcasts for that information. But for that, yes, it's the same with free wireless. If there's a free service that's out there, as we all know, the odds are you're going to get pop-ups, you're going to get commercials.
Right.
Or it's going to watch what we're doing. It's going to monitor what we're doing. Just like free apps that allow you to take a JPEG and convert it into a PDF online. You think
Nope.
You think that they're just going to take that data and just throw it away?
Yeah.
No, somebody somewhere is watching that and trying to create value out of it.
You know what's interesting in our space? Sometimes there's a client will send over a video file, right, and say, "Hey, can you convert this over to social media post?" Blah blah blah. Well, I don't always have the right device to make sure, or the right software to flip that particular file. There are a gazillion converters online, and I will not use any one of them. They terrify me beyond belief because nothing is free, and I'm so scared what they're going to do with that.
And especially
even on my Mac, which is a very safe device, compared to a PC.
Well, it's as locked down as an Etch-a-Sketch because it's one and the same, Tom. It's one and the same.
An expensive Etch-a-Sketch
expensive.
with an amazing graphics card. But okay, back to the point. Now I do agree with you. I don't think it's fair for companies to be mining us and them benefiting from it and profiting from it. But I do think if it's free, it's for me. But you also have to think if it's free, somebody else is benefiting from this in some way, shape, or form. And, my dad actually did tell me, everything has a price, right? Mm-hmm. Everything has a price to pay. Even if you're logging into Facebook and it's free, well, guess what? They know I love fishing. They know I love cars. They know I'm married. They know where I live. I mean, they have all that data on me, and don't think for a second that they're not using that. Now, Tom and you and I met at it was a conference with Connected in Central Florida.
That's correct.
And we were both up front in the room. You were giving some great wisdom on IT support.
I recall.
I don't remember what kind of crap I was talking about that day, but anyway, it came down to Facebook Messenger, and we had a dialogue about that. Now, guys, Facebook Messenger used to be built into the Facebook app all in one, and that made a lot of sense, right? Here's Facebook, here's Messenger, it's one app. But they separated it, and you had to actually download Facebook Messenger to use it separately from the Facebook app. Well, anytime you download that, guess what my Apple iPhone asks me? Do you want to allow this to have access to your microphone and to your camera? And
your text messages, your phone messages,
your firstborn, your social security number, your blah, blah, blah. But it is so fascinating to me that this thing is always listening in the background. And Facebook will come out and say, no, we're not doing that. Yeah. And they've said it a million times. And I've been on TV telling people that's what Facebook says. I don't believe it.
Rightfully so.
I don't believe it.
And it doesn't just stop with Facebook, and it doesn't stop with the TVs. Anything that's connected to the internet, you look at Roku's, the Amazon Fire TV, the Chromecast, the Apple TV. All of these devices have the same functionality. In fact, the Apple TV has a particular setting in general that says send data to Apple. That's default by on.
Well, sure. They just want to know that I'm having a great time. That's what Apple's all about. They want to make sure, Tom, that the user experience is top notch. That's the data they're looking for.
Exactly. And unless you take the time on your PC to read that fine print, I know a lot of Apple users don't have the ability to read that fine print, but don't worry, you'll graduate out of kindergarten here soon. And
ouch! But my Apple can actually read it to me, Tom.
Yeah. Well, you have to be able to understand, Tom. Ooh. And a lot of those kindergartners, they just can't grasp concepts yet.
That was a pretty low blow, even for you, Tom.
Well, we'll spruce it up. The difference between a Mac and a chunk of wood, right?
Tell me, Tom.
A chunk of wood will actually float. But with that, you want to make sure that you turn off those Apple TV settings to no. You turn off your Chromecast to not send data usage to the Google entity that is out
gods.
There. I tell you, I don't even know what's on the other side of that screen.
No, I don't think anyone
Kind of
does.
like the Wizard of Oz.
It is exactly like the Wizard of Oz.
That's the way I picture it.
So let's go back to Spookyville one more time here. Again, we warned you this is going to be a very scary show and a scary episode, and not for the faint of heart. Let's start looking at other devices lurking around your house. What are they getting out of you, Tom? How about the DVR?
The DVR, it's the same thing. We're scheduling all our favorite shows to be recorded there, but somebody out there is probably checking out all that information and correlating it together, as you said, realizing that if they look at Longwood, that there's a target audience of people between these ages and probably a median income of this, and if they all watch Game of Thrones, well, we should probably send down a bunch of Game of Thrones merchandise to that area.
Right. So, here's the other side of that coin again, to play devil's advocate. Now, they would come back and tell you that we are here to enhance your viewing pleasure and experience by fine tailoring content that we know you're interested in. I mean, is that of value to you?
It would be if they brought back Breaking Bad, Tom.
Yeah, it all leads back to Breaking Bad.
I mean, because we were all dying to see what happens next. Did he die? Did he not? There's a spoiler alert, by the way. But no, looking beyond all that, is it something that we want to have? Again, I think that if we know what's happening, then we'll feel a little bit better about it. But as I didn't know until you brought up the topic that these TVs could be listening to us.
Sure.
So thanks, Tom. Now I've got all the TVs at my house unplugged.
Good.
And yeah.
So you went back to Little House on the Prairie style.
That is the only way to keep yourself secure is to just unplug the internet, and you'll have no more worries.
You know, truer words have never been spoken.
I tell you, but it's just not practical, and we all know that just can't happen. So,
Well, so here's a moral of the story. Again, you need to read those terms and conditions. When you set up a new device, you really need to go through, look for the privacy settings, look for ways to kind of block off information being disseminated. Like you mentioned, the Apple TV, certainly your television, your DVR, whatever it is that you're setting up, I strongly encourage you to go into privacy settings and just put it to where you feel comfortable and keep it that way. They're always going to try to get you to give as much data up as you possibly can. But like, if you're not down with that, make sure you lock it down yourself because no one's going to do it for you.
and even then, with a new software update, who knows if that setting gets turned back on?
Yes, and it does, and they'll reset back to default settings. So you do have to pay very close attention to that. I'd encourage you to review those privacy settings pretty often.
Yep, probably something you should add to your policies and procedures.
Yeah, amen, brother.
Amen.
So I think it's a great time to dig into the mail sack.
Let's see what we've got down here. Let's shuffle around. Got to be something up here.
I thought it was Fort Lauderdale, right?
It's Stacy knows Stacy from Fort Lauderdale is actually the one who we have to credit this episode for.
Okay.
Stacy is a bit concerned about her privacy and was wondering if her computer's camera could be turned on remotely.
Oh, hell yeah, it can.
You know
Stacey, that's a terrific question, and the answer to that is Spookyville, absolutely. There was a story recently about a girl in a dorm room that unfortunately she left her computer up and was doing things that she shouldn't have been seen doing, and someone stole it through her camera and then turned around and tried to sell it back to her, or they were going to unleash it to the entire internet.
Just amazing. You know, there used to be a day when there would be a little green light on, and that would let us know if the camera was recording or not.
Right.
But no, as I sit here looking into my computer right now, I don't know who's looking at me from the other side.
There might be a lot of people looking at you, Tom.
Probably not, because I have a face made for radio.
Well, so do I, Tom. That's
so
why we're so good at podcasting, is we have the looks for radio.
I feel safe about it, but most of my friends who are into computer security all have either a Post-it note or a piece of tape over their cameras there, or one of these handy-dandy Advanced System Solutions webcam covers, Tom.
These are great, Tom. It says, we've got you covered, and enjoy this webcam cover. Advanced System Solutions, your IT needs are covered. This is brilliant. I love it.
I tell you, it was a good idea. And again, it's a Band-Aid size thing that can be slid open and closed over your webcam. Many different manufacturers of these. But looks a little bit more professional than a piece of tape or that big yellow Post-it note right there.
It's funny you said that. Mark Zuckerberg, back in the day, I think this was about a year ago, Mark Zuckerberg's computer was actually shown in a picture, and you see a Post-it note or a piece of tape covering up his camera. You know, think about a high-level executive like that and sitting there and being spied on in some way, shape, or form, or actually, maybe he's talking about a new product.
I think he knows
all that stuff
something.
Could be stolen. Yeah, he knows what's up.
Yeah.
So, yes, absolutely, Stacy from Fort Lauderdale.
Good question.
So, I would talk to Tom here at Advanced System Solutions. He's got these amazing doohickeys. Is that what you call it?
That is the technical term. For those of you
doohickey.
who aren't familiar with that, it's a plastic thingy-bob.
Yeah, a thingy-mabob.
Yes.
It goes into the Gazinta, I believe.
Yes. So yes, these, again, just a little bit more professional looking and helps to keep us secure.
Well, Stacy, thank you so much for writing into the mail sack today. And I want to thank all of our listeners for a great show. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry if we scared the bejesus out of you. It's really not our intent to be gloom and doom, but I do have to tell you, there's some things that just get our dander up, Tom.
It's better to know, Tom. It's better to know, and I'm glad that you're here to enlighten us all a little bit more.
Well, thank you, Tom. And where can folks find you and learn more?
We are found on the internet at advancedsystemsolutions.com. And yourself, sir?
Well, you can find me at ontargetdigitalmarketing.com. And again, guys, thanks so much for listening today. We'd love it if you'd share this episode, keep some other people safe and informed. Share it with Aunt Sally.
Just don't share it with the in-laws because they might put out a bad word.
They might put out a bad word, and they might find that duct tape we've been hiding.
I tell you, and use it on us.
That's right.
Then we'd really be in trouble.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Take care. We'll talk to you real soon.
This podcast was recorded at the On Target Podcasting Studio using Apple products and not a PC.